Hello, everybody. How you doing? I am here with the lovely Christina Pistoni. I like the E. Sounds more Guido. We like the fork. So I say the E. Anywho, it is rare that I seek out doing a video. I tend to stay underground, like with the snakes and the snails and the people who live in the subway tracks. Too many people's out babbling. You don't need to hear me. However, I was compelled seriously to do this just to maybe help some people out and shed some light on a couple of things. I don't pay attention to what happens on the internet. I'm not in the loop of people who are involved in a lot of the health, progressive health, radical health, raw food pursuits. I mean, I know they're out there. I treat people every day, but I'm not in the communication that happens through the social media and through Christina and other people. I get, what would be the word, filled in on what's going on. And it seems like, sadly, there are a lot of, what would be the word, disgruntled, disillusioned, disappointed, pissed off, angry people because they've taken on the old lifestyle to a radical degree. And clearly, from what I'm being told, it is not working for them. Now, I don't know these people personally. I've never spoken to them other than maybe once. But it seems like a lot of people who've tried to do this dietetic schemata to the nth degree, it did not work. And by that, we're talking about the concept of eating once a day, juicing all day, keeping the bowels clean and active. It's not working for them. And I want to address that. I had a good friend, Jenna Hamshaw. I called her Genius Jenna because she was brilliant. She was a genius. Also very cute. She's very cute. Who told me once after hearing me give a lecture, said, Gil, I talk to a lot of women. You got to be careful bringing up that one meal a day business. And I said to her, yeah, but when I do this, I'm always saying that that's a journey you get to. That's a spot you get to when you start off in this life. There is no way you're juicing all day and eating once. That comes after putting in a lot of time and seeing the obvious success that the life gives to you. And she said, yeah, but that's not what people are hearing. People hear that that's the pinnacle and they're going to do it because they're going to talk themselves into thinking it works for them. And I speak to a lot of people who are developing eating disorders and getting sick and it's not working and all these things. So stop, don't do that. And she was right, as she always was, and I stopped. And I have a feeling that might be what's going on here. Again, I don't pay attention to what's being said on the internet. I know there's a lot of people that do all the internet words, the blogs, the tweets, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the this, the that, all this stuff, who are constantly putting information out there. But from what I know, the people that I know personally, and knowing what they're about, they always were very firm and clear to tell people that there's a pathway, there are levels you want to get into before you take a thing like that on. And I have a feeling a lot of the people having problems with it maybe jumped in too early. So if that wasn't communicated strong enough, and if it wasn't made clear that it takes quite a while to get to the point where you can do that type of lifestyle comfortably, I do deeply apologize. And I'm sure anyone else who's putting this work forward would agree, apologize as well. But to my knowledge, that was always emphasized. A lot of the literature that I peek at from people I know, everything's done in level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it seems like people jump into level 5, it doesn't work. I want to go over some of the specifics about why it does not work. First of all, when you're doing juice all day and one meal, you have to make sure, and Christina, we talk about this all the time, you can't do it on the reward punishment mindset. Like a lot of this requires a real psychological soundness. And I think what happens to a lot of people, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, is I've juice fasted all day. I haven't eaten all day. And they sit down and reward themselves like Henry VIII. They're eating these gigantic meals. And the mistake is they're thinking just because all the things in the food are health food and organic and vegan, that allows them to eat like 4 people. It just doesn't. And if that's your subconscious psychological mindset, this is never going to work. And that's what happens to people that get into it too quickly. The other thing too, and this is a biggie, is that to make a 1 meal a day plan work, if you haven't put a lot of time in, and whenever anyone starts doing the 1 meal a day thing, it should never be done as a healing technique. It should be done as a thriving technique. That was a good one. Every now and then I throw in.
Never heard
right?
that
That was nice, right? In other words, once you're there and you realize, wow, I've lost 20 pounds, I feel great, my skin is clear, all the menstrual cramps, the headaches, the general physical skeeve, the depression, the ADD, everything that was off is much better. I'm thriving in this. That's the point at which you take on the 1 meal a day plan. If you do it that way, and even if you don't do it that way, what makes it work is the cleansing must keep up with the intensity of the diet. The bowel movements have to be profuse and often. Any symptom you get that doesn't go away when you're doing this diet means you need to be cleansed. Now, here's where the problem comes in. I think what's happening is a lot of people are attempting to do colonics, enemas, hookups to the sink, whatever it is they're attempting to do at home. And I'll tell you right now, on 95% of people who do that, it's not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because it's very hard to dump the right side of the intestine, called the cecum. What you're going to do is you're going to put water in, you'll get some good results for 15 minutes. But then as you keep pushing the water in, trying to get that final flush, the water's going in and in, you hit a wall, nothing else comes out, you give up. You've pushed so much water and energy through the cecum. My guess is you feel bloated, your head is spaced out, you're depressed, your legs feel heavy, you can't walk up a flight of steps. And what confuses people, because they see the selfie work for 10 minutes, they think, well, this is better than nothing, I got something out, so I'll endure the head pain, the bloated gut, the heavy legs. And then what happens from doing it over and over and over again, that problem becomes acute. Now it's not you on your ass, you can't function, your clarity's gone, basically your contentment, your happiness is shot because the cecum is so overloaded, and you start becoming obsessed with this health stuff thingy. That's all you're talking about and thinking about is the health stuff thingy. Because bad cleansing techniques, whether they're bad colonics, unsuccessful enemas, things that hook up to a sink. The colon, as we know, is shaped the way a kid draws a molar. If you picture a kid drawing a molar, getting at the descending is easy. Getting at the ascending is extremely hard, especially with a selfie, especially standing up, which makes it Houdini-like. So if you're taking this technique on and you see a release, which means, okay, it's better than nothing, I'm going to keep going. In that process of keeping going, you're jamming water the wrong direction. So then when you get up the next day and try to go, the body's got to fight to go the right direction. Your goose is cooked, you're food. Food, you're done. It's not going to work. Now you're over the barrel. What then happens is people feel weak and tired. They usually compensate by overeating to try to stimulate. Once that game is going on, you're in a lot of trouble. Now, that's not necessarily your fault. This game is not as easy as it looks with the cleansing. If it were that easy, then colonic places wouldn't exist. Everybody could do it at home. In all the years I've done this, I've seen 3 people work successfully with the home on the sink things. One was a yoga teacher, one's a dancer, one's a practitioner. Everyone else, it's been a miserable failure because it's very difficult to navigate. It's difficult for new colonic therapists to drain the right side, let alone someone who's just hooking something up to a sink. So if you're going through these symptoms where you're obsessing, I'm on the table, it's not coming out, why do I feel puffy, my ankles, I'm not thinking about anything, you've experienced this, right? You know how many people who've experienced this. It's basically because the diet's been jumped into too quickly and the cleansing mechanisms are not working. Again, if this was put forth to people as the way to go from the beginning, I profusely apologize, that's incorrect. It should never be taken on until you've established a couple of years of cleansing and you're thriving, you're feeling fabulous in your body. So, hey, I'm going to take this thingy on because I'm kicking ass and I'm going to go forward. It's not a beginning step. You don't start taking martial arts and fight a black belt. If that's what happened, that's what's going on. But the other part of this too that's a little disappointing, and again, I don't read stuff on the internet, I'm told stuff. There's a lot of hatred and anger and venom flying. People are calling people out by name, and that's disappointing. Because when you do get into this, if it's working, it's supposed to make you very nice, frankly. That sounds simplistic, but right? It makes everybody good people. So it's supposed to create a level of empathy and love and tolerance and understanding and clarity and responsibility for self. So when Christina was reading me some of the stuff, the anger and the name calling, and also, and I understand when it doesn't work, it's very frustrating because you're putting in all this time and effort, it's not working. My friends are eating pizza, my friends are drinking scotch, and I'm fucked up. Oh! It seems very unfair, but the fact is blaming people, calling them out by name, and also throwing out statements that just aren't true. You know, there's not enough minerals. You become mineral deficient if you just eat once a day. It's not true. I've had my blood tested for some major blood tests several times. There isn't one deficiency. There isn't one dormant cancer cell. If it's done right, and if the cleansing works, the game works. It's a very difficult game. Anyone who tells you it's easy should be spanked. It's very difficult. Okay? But we want to look at it and say, you know what, I tried this. It's a little too extreme. I don't have the proper means of cleansing at my disposal. It didn't work for me. I don't recommend it to you unless you have all these things on point. I think it's a little more conscious approach than so-and-so is a piece of whale shit. Like, that just doesn't, right? And that is what we hear.
Kind of.
Yeah, maybe not those particular words. You know, I think all of us are better than that. I think a lot of people who get into this are very conscious, globally aware people, and the adolescent behavior, is below you. And I know a lot of things get written. There's a lot of piercing commentary. And the other part of this is when you do this type of diet, you're doing the colonics all wrong, and you're having overeating issues. And again, it's very difficult. We really don't want anyone to have to go through this. The tendency is to look for foods that stimulate, to pull you out of it. And that's fine, because you have to live your life. So people tend to go towards clean animal proteins, grass-fed animal proteins, lots of raw dairy, and they start getting stimulated. They feel better, which is okay. Like, that's totally fine. But all of a sudden, they're promoting this as the way. And all of a sudden, all the vegan stuff is a lot of horse shit, bullshit, it's a crock of nonsense. This is what you should be doing. It's a little simplistic, and it's a little bit short-sighted, because clearly there are so many people who've healed through fasting, who've healed through vegan diets, who've healed through radical cleansing. I know hundreds. I also know it's very hard. To do it right alone is Herculean, as we know. And that is a factor that you want to look at when you get into this. But I just think there should be more love and peace and understanding. And to see people's names spewed all over the internet, having lots of mean, angry stuff, I think people are better than that. And if you sit in a peaceful space, you'll realize, maybe you made some mistakes, or maybe the information was wrongly put forth, for which everyone putting it forth apologizes, I'm sure. And it would be nice if all the anger just kind of dissipated. And the other factor, which we talk about a lot here, if you're doing 50 and 60 and 70-day fasts, or if you've done 50 and 60 and 70-day fasts and you didn't have cancer, and you weren't on a hunger strike to save South Sudan, or you weren't doing something of a great cause, then you have a psychological issue and an emotional issue you need to address. No normal person who isn't ill and isn't in a very specific space in their life where there's a cause happening does a 90-day fast. It kind of implies, perhaps, that there's something really missing in your life, and you think doing something this radical will bring you that which is missing, and it will not. No one should be doing 90-day fast under any circumstances. It fries the nervous system. It ruins the myelin sheath. And whether you're raw, not raw, whatever, if you're going big lengths of time to that degree without eating, great damage is done to the system. That's not the fault of the juice one meal a day diet. No one that I know in their right mind has ever told anyone to do a 90-day fast or a 60-day fast or even a 50-day fast. So if you were doing that kind of thing with no judgments, it's a very difficult life in New York. We all got lots of internal problems. God knows I do. Take a look at what was going on in your life and what was it you thought that was going to do. Or maybe it was just an ego thing that you listened to the banana people in California, so you wanted to do something stupendous. Or this Australia, big bananas, whatever. So maybe it was that. It was an ego thing. It was, oh, why not? I want to prove to myself I could do it. But if you're sound psychologically and emotionally, there's no way you seek to do fast that long unless you have a tumor or an embolism in your body. So there's a lot people need to address with themselves, and there's a lot the practitioners need to address about getting dogmatic, telling people cooked food is poison, telling them if they're not vegan, they're evil. All this stuff is nonsense. And it's, I'm optimistic, maybe it's Pollyanna, but we should be good people doing this stuff, and we should be able to speak our issues without calling people out and spewing, like it's some kind of Martin Downey Jr. show back in the day. And then there is that final point. There is that concept that it is very hard to do this right. And it isn't something for everyone. And you do have to be on a path where you know the cleansing you're doing is working. You know you're not overeating. You know you're not doing reward punishment. And in that case, it can work. And it certainly isn't meant for everyone. And if you look at Harvard Law School, a lot of people who go to Harvard Law School who attempt to get in, end up becoming alcoholics. There's a lot of suicide attempts. People develop drug issues. They develop insomnia. It's very hard to get through Harvard Law. I know several people who have. My brother's an attorney. It is not an easy game. It is not meant for everyone. It's not even meant for people graduating with degrees. People who do go in and fail, if they come out and say, the law school sucks Moose's cock. In fact, the Constitution sucks Moose's cock. Everything about law sucks cock. I tried it. It didn't work. I'm fucked up. It all beats to me. The Emancipation Proclamation sucks Moose's cock. Sorry, African Americans. Back to the plantations. The amendment to free women and get them the right to vote. No good, it blows. The Constitution blows. The law school blows. That's it, women. Back to the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant. It didn't work for me. The whole thing sucks Moose's cock. Obviously. The dogs. Obviously, that's nonsense. And that's an exaggerated example, but that's what's going on here. Okay, that's what's going on here. And since a lot of people perceive themselves to be practitioners or people that have blogs where they're helping people, just because some specific thing may have been difficult for you doesn't mean the whole thing's horseshit and now you're changing your whole perception of how you speak to people. Okay?
Taking personal responsibility is really important.
Yeah, it's again, if anyone told you that eating one meal a day and juicing all day was the way to go, start tomorrow, you should smack them. And for that, you are definitely in the right to be a little upset. All I know is, from whom I know, I don't know anyone who's ever said that. I know for sure I haven't. I know the people I've taught have not. But since it's all over the place, according to all the people who talk to me about this, we just wanted to address it. And if you have any questions, if you've had real issues with all this, and you've tried the animal protein diet, didn't work, it made you sick and your bones stiff, you don't know what to do, just get back into a transition space. Juice twice a day, eat twice a day. Nice and easy. Juice, salad and avocados in the day, juice, salad, whatever you want in the evening, or juice, fruits in the middle of the day, juice, salad, whatever you want in the evening. It's a nice, clean diet. You'll live very long. If you want to do a cleanse once a year for a week, you do a fast and a few good colonics, and you move on. Okay? But, this whole game, this whole alternative progressive lifestyle should always have coming forth through it the energy of love and the energy of empathy and ease and contentment, not all this anger and venom. because it just doesn't serve anyone. So that is it. Do you want to add anything like this since you went through that contact? Also, one other thing, come and do the flow tank in this one. Come on. It's fabulous. We charge really low. All right, like if you do, we're charging less than everybody. Come and give it a shot. Plus, you get to see this beautiful face. If you're a hetero guy, look at that face. How could you not come and float?
We're in New York City, so if you guys ever visiting Vibrancy, we're here.
Christina's here every day. You don't have to look at me. They don't want to look at me.
The video's already 20 minutes, so we're going to cut it off now.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, peoples.